My sleeper number 4, it is Jaden Blue, the rookie running back. He does have a Yahoo ADP. Sorry to report. He is being drafted in Yahoo leagues, but 128th overall, expert consensus rank of running back 54. And that has fallen, Ray, and it has fallen for some stupid reasons. Look, there are some people, watching this show right now, listening to this show that are not terminally online, which, by the way, congratulations. I'm happy for you. Please continue to live your life in peace and not consume every stupid nitty-gritty detail of football information. But, except this show, obviously, and all of Ray's content and all of mine and everyone else here in the Yahoo team. Of course.
Obviously.
But all that, obviously. But there was a day, it was this last month at some point, some former Cowboys coach, Glenn Smith, I believe, said that Jaden Blue was borderline lazy, that the coaching staff didn't like him, and fantasy Twitter was abuzz about it, freaking out about this Jaden Blue report. But look, he was featured, Jaden Blue, on our Bucky, or who's going to be this year's Bucky Irving episode, and one of the reasons I wanted him to be a finalist. Look, I'm not a dictator, okay? I run a democracy. We have to come to a consensus opinion, and Scott Pianowski and I could not agree on Jaden Blue, so he was not the nomination, but he was certainly the guy I wanted at the top of the ticket, okay, because this is an ambiguous backfield. This is a backfield where we're talking about, Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. By the way, Miles Sanders apparently outplaying Javonte Williams in training camp, which is another thing that that ADP needs to correct at this point. Like, there was a big gap between Javonte and everybody else. I think Javonte is the guy I really want to root for, really liked him as a prospect, but he has just not shown burst and not shown consistency as a player at all so far in the NFL. So because of that, I think there's a real opening for a guy like Jaden Blue, because neither of these two guys, Javonte or Miles Sanders, are passing game weapons. And this is going to be an offense that throws the hell out of the football. I would not be shocked if the Dallas Cowboys lead the NFL in pass attempts this year. Jaden Blue is a guy who is a mismatch weapon, can be used as a receiver out of the backfield. And just like bottom line, this is a great offense with a good offensive line. The interior is definitely a strength. We want to take shots on this running back. And Jaden Blue, running back 54, 128th overall, yes, when you get to the late rounds, that is the type of profile you should be targeting. Because again, Ray, if it doesn't work out, who gives a damn? You cut him and you move on. But I want to know, as a guy you follow the Cowboys, you mentioned this earlier, like about Devi and all this stuff. I don't be doing all that. Okay. You're that is quite literally your business. That is literally your business. So you tell me about Jaden Blue, the player, and how you think he fits into this Cowboys situation here.
Yeah. I'm just checking my watch to see how much time we have, because I can go on and on about the stand backfield, this team, and Jaden Blue. It's really, sometimes I'd like to keep things very simple. Okay. But sometimes it's just keep it simple. You've got a passing offense led by Dak Prescott, and I'm not getting into playoff wins or any of that. The Dallas Cowboys last year threw the ball 637 times between Dak and Cooper Rush. 637. Okay. You've got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, who are going to command a ton of attention on the outside. And you have a really good tight end in Jake Ferguson, kind of work in the middle. The thing that this offense lacks from either Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams, there's no speed. Neither of those two running backs bring an element of speed to this offense to truly unlock some of the things that Dak Prescott likes to do, right? Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, we've been chasing that next running back in Dallas for years, and we were surprised when we got the 1,000-yard seasons out of Rico Dowdle. Shout out to him. He's in Carolina now. But Jaden Blue's speed is different. He clocked over 22 miles per hour in college multiple times. It was a disappointment when he only ran a 4.37 at his pro day. Just disappointed, just not that fast. Thought he'd be a 4.2 guy. I think he came out and said he was going to run a 4.1. But his ability in the screen game is outstanding. And he's the type of running back that I'm not going to compare him to Devon Achane. I think Achane was a much better runner of the football between the tackles than Jaden Blue. But that speed, when he hits the open field, that second gear is different. And I've got some people that know some things about Dallas, Matt, and they said it's not even close who the most dynamic and explosive running back is. They say he doesn't have everything together to be out there all downs, and quite frankly, you don't want him out there all downs. He was a liability between the tackles, putting the ball on the ground in college. But how he's going to be deployed, man, this is one where if it hits And if it works, people are going to fall in love because he's a Dallas Cowboys running back. And whether people want to admit it or not, we have been chasing something in this backfield since Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard departed a couple of years ago, respectively, each. This is a talented running back. And this is what I say, Matt. There's a difference between running backs who can catch passes and be deployed as a pass-catching weapon. Javonte Williams can catch passes. Miles Sanders, if you throw it to him, can probably catch some passes. Jaden Blue can be deployed as a pass-catching weapon, and that skill set and that ability opens up the offensive playbook tenfold. So, yes, I'm in on Blue. I love this call as a sleeper. Again, another shameless plug for my first article dropping tomorrow. We talk about this ambiguous backfield, and there's no doubt at cost, and you say he's dropping to RB54, let him drop a little more. Bring him on down because I'll draft him every single time. Jaden Blue, I want him.
I love it. Yeah, I love the way he's going to be using this offense. If he is that pass-catching weapon that you talk about, like, they've needed, somebody to kind of just be a dump-off guy because Dak can get himself into trouble there. He tries to force things sometime, and it's not quite like I always come back to Josh Allen, right? When it was so clear that the Bills were trying to hey, Josh, we're incentivizing you to take the layups here because we're going to get you James Cook, or remember they tried to get J.D. McKissick, and Brandon Beane was so pissed that he went back to Washington. How could he do this? Because we really needed J.D. McKissick because they wanted somebody to and Khalil Shakir was this guy too as a wide receiver. Get the guy the football in his hands and let him make plays so that you don't have to force everything. I think that could be part of what Jaden Blue is doing here. And you mentioned the screens too. I think this is going to be Brian Schottenheimer's offense is going to be pretty interesting to kind of consider him as the pivot man here, as opposed to just what we saw with Mike McCarthy. So screens, usage out of the backfield. If we get that with him for one of the best offenses in the NFL, we're going to be pretty excited.